Every once in a while, I will plan a trip that is so long and diabolical that it runs me directly into the ground. And when I do that, the only way to sort of like pull myself from that sort of travel hole is to creatively reset my life. So we're going to do that this week. If you are new here, I'm Vale. I make vlogs about sewing, about living in Colombia, about, all things creative. And I've mentioned in my last few videos that I was going on a month-long trip that was part work trip, part fun Mexico City trip, and I've just returned. Actually, I returned a few days ago, but I returned with a very tough cold because, when you're gone for a month and you're kind of flying all over the world, that is bound to happen. Even though I was wearing a mask. I was wearing a mask at the airport, but still, I think my defenses were kind of low. Anyways, all that to say that I have been itching to get back into my crafting and into my routine, and that's what I want to be doing in this video. So there are a couple of things I want to get done in the next few days. I want to take you along with me, so stick around. So the first thing that I want to do is sew something. I did a lot of sewing before I left. I was doing sort of like 10 garments in 10 days, and I was just kind of powering through, and it was so much fun. And I haven't touched the machine in a month. It's actually, my studio is a little bit of a mess, so I kind of have to clean up my studio a little bit, but then I can get back into my sewing plans. I recently put out a video about all of the sewing plans, all the things I want to make in the next few weeks, and I'm going to start right at the top with a little skirt set. So it's like a matching set, top skirt, tiered skirt draws. I'll put a picture. You'll get the vibe. I've made this before, so I really hope that it's an easy transition back into sewing because, again, it's something I've made before. Maybe I'm more familiar with it. It shouldn't be too difficult. I feel like because I've been away so long, choosing sort of like a low-level entry project is the way to go for me. So I'm going to make that. I've already washed the fabric. It's sitting outside drying, so it should be ready in a couple of hours. So my plan is to start that this afternoon. And yeah, I'm really excited. I'm also using a piece of fabric or like a couple of meters of fabric that I've had in my stash for over a year, like almost a year, because it's just so precious to me. I've been like kind of hesitating to cut into it, but I'm excited to do that. So that's the first thing that I want to do that's creative this week. And the next thing that I want to do is organize my space a little bit because I've been living out of a suitcase and a backpack for about a month. And then I was like in Bogota and then I came back out here. So all my stuff is kind of all over the place. I'm not going to show you that cleaning up because we're not there yet, okay? However, I'm going to show you all of the things that I've kind of placed in all the bags that I have everywhere. So I've brought a lot of things with me from Mexico City, which was, the trip that I was on, or one of the trips that I was on this past month. And I'm really excited to show you because I love collecting art and artesanías and like really cute little home decor things and jewelry and fabrics. So I just got like super excited. Mexico City is like such a beautiful place to go and find just like interesting objects. I'm going to show you those things in case you are going to Mexico City and want to see them, but also because there are a couple of things that I need to organize, frame, take to the frame shop, etc. So I'm just kind of compiling everything and figuring out where its new home is. I think it's going to help me feel more creatively centered because I just love having an organized space. So I'll show you my little Mexico City haul and at the same time organize my space a little bit. Okay, I also want to finish this really interesting book that I'm reading. I'm reading The Children by Melissa Albert, and this was a book that I had, no knowledge of until I saw it like recommended on TikTok, I think. And then I was like, all right, like I'll add it to my TBR. And then I ended up buying it and I started reading it on my trip. I haven't finished it. And then I got to say, whatever. It is so interesting. It's been a while since I read what would be considered, I guess, like Gothic fiction. I actually probably can't remember. Maybe like Eileen. I don't know. Like I feel like it's been a long time since I don't think Eileen is Gothic fiction. I'm thinking of something else, like a book with like. Anyway, so it's been a really long time since I read this genre of fiction, and I was maybe not expecting it, and yet it is super interesting. It also is kind of like weirdly reminding me of Biography of X by Catherine Lacey. I'm like 40% in, so that might be like completely off, but the vibes are giving that if you've kind of read Biography of X. I don't know. Very good book so far. I've recommended it to a couple people, even though I haven't finished it yet, but I'm going to finish it this week. And it's been a really fast read. I just haven't like recharged my Kindle and really gotten into it, but using my afternoons to read, I think is a really great way to get back into the creative space and not just like doom scrolling on my phone. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to finish that book this week for sure. Next, I want to do a little bit of writing. I don't want to put pressure on myself on like publishing it anywhere or like putting it on my Substack, etc. I just want to get back into my writing habit. I think I'm definitely somebody who struggles to keep routine when I am traveling. I wish I was better at it. I wish I was one of those people that like got to a hotel after traveling 2 weeks and I don't know, out in the wilderness and we're like, oh, I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna do this and I'm like, no, like I struggle with that. I kind of just end up like, you know, I go do things, but I don't really like stick to a set routine every single day when I'm traveling. And one of the things that has fallen through the wayside is sort of my writing routine, or like waking up in the mornings and doing journaling, but also like spending an hour in the mornings just sort of writing whatever it is that I'm working on. And so I'm going to get back into that routine. I actually already started this morning, and I've just sort of given myself the space to do a little reflection on my, you know, various trips in the last month and just kind of going from there and seeing if there's anything interesting I want to explore. But that's really the goal, is just like waking up every morning and giving myself at least 30 minutes to just write, no other distractions. Eventually, hopefully building that up to an hour, but just like giving myself that little 30-minute entry point that feels pretty feasible. And I think that those are really the big creative things I want to do this week to center myself. So even though I am going to spend the bulk of this video sewing and showing you my little skirt set tutorial, there are a couple of things that I'll also be doing here and there to ground myself, because in the next couple of weeks I want to do another sewing marathon, but I feel like I need to be in the right headspace for that. So this week is all about getting into the right headspace. All right, this is the fabric that we're working with. Isn't it so pretty? Ooh, this is Liberty London cotton. Okay, my mom got this for me last September when she went to London with my sister without me, and I'm obviously over it. No, I'm just kidding. They went because I had to work. I had like a work trip. Anyway, and they brought me this really beautiful fabric, and I've just been like really scared to cut into it. So now is the time. I've also put on the skirt that I'm going to be copying. Can you see it from there? It's got like a little slit. It's got these little drawstrings. Ooh, it's windy. So this is the skirt that I'm going to be making again. I put it on for inspiration today, but also because I always wear this skirt. I feel like that's the point that I'm trying to make. I'm going to make this skirt in this beautiful fabric because I wear this skirt all the time. And ultimately, even though this feels like very precious fabric, I want to make something that feels like I can wear it every single day, staple in my wardrobe, etc. So we're going to iron. I am like looking at this fabric and I'm like, oop, there is not a lot, girl. Maybe I've been a little ambitious with the top I want to make. I'm definitely going to make the skirt, but I've also been thinking about making like a little matching top, like I showed you earlier. And I was going to use the Clara dress pattern, just kind of modify it and use like a cropped version. And I've done this before, but it still uses quite a little bit of fabric. So I think I'm going to see sort of like prioritize the skirt and then kind of figure out how much fabric I have left for the top. Because if I have a little bit, like I can make that into a corset. Like corsets actually use such little fabric because you could just use like a different lining. And I just put together a garden stay corset, I guess, in one of my last videos, and I loved it so much. Like it's so cute, and I've been trying to look for like a good corset pattern for like ever. So yeah, anyways, I have options. Even if I can just make like a little bralette or something, like I'm gonna use every single inch of this fabric because it is precious and it's very wrinkled. Okay, so, oh yeah, I was gonna tell you, like, I started writing earlier, like I mentioned, just kind of reflecting on my trip, and I was writing today about the craziest thing that happened, which is that, like, okay, let me set the scene. I had to go on a work trip, and, like, I won't get too much into it because it's kind of my day job, but the trip was kind of it was 2 weeks long, almost 2 weeks long, and we took off and came back to Hawaii. So the story takes place in Hawaii. I was in Oahu, right? Okay, here's another important thing. I live nowhere near Hawaii. I'm from nowhere near there. I've never actually even been there before this trip. I was coming from Miami. So I live in Colombia, but my home base in the U.S. is in Miami, and so I was in Miami. And from Miami, I went to Los Angeles, from Los Angeles to Hawaii, whatever, right? If you've been there, it's like really far. So I'm like on the other side of the world, right? I'm like in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, okay? And I come back from this trip like 2 weeks away in nature, like I'm just like dead inside, right? But I have a couple of days that I'm like waiting out before meeting my friends and my husband in Mexico City. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna stay like in Waikiki Beach a couple days, like extend my stay, like, work from there, but have like at least like a little bit of a reset, whatever. It's my last day in like Oahu, and I remember it was a day that the Knicks played where Donald Trump was there and they lost. Like it was that night because I was there watching the Knicks game, and I just decided like, oh, I'm just gonna go to this bar and I'm gonna drink a beer and I'm gonna watch this game. And all of a sudden I noticed this guy like sits next to me, and I'm like looking kind of like sideways looking at him, and I'm like, I know this person. I'm like, where do I know this person from? I'm like, I know this person. And then I'm like, eventually I'm just like, I turn to him and I'm like, are you from Miami? And he's just like, yeah. And he looks at me, he was like, I know you. And I'm like, I know you. And we're like trying to, and then we're like, did you go to high school? We went to the same high school. We went to a high school in Kendall, Miami in like 2008 to like whatever, right? A mad long time ago. Like, I think the last time I saw him was probably like 2010 or 11 or who even knows, right? And it's just so weird because like he was like, yeah, work sent me here for like a work trip too, and we're like in the middle of like pretty much just the most random place to run into somebody, because it's like I'm not even from there. We just ended up at the same bar. We were also sitting next to each other. The whole place was empty, right? Like it just so happened that we both wanted to see the TV, and like it's just crazy. And I was like, what are the chances? So I've been sort of thinking about that of like, okay, what is the universe trying to tell me? Maybe nothing, but I do tend to think about those serendipitous moments as like, okay, there's something probably here that is at least somewhat interesting to explore of like, yeah. So I thought that story was crazy. We were both like, what the hell? Because we also weren't friends in high school, right? So it was just like another interesting sort of layer of like, we both knew of each other, but we weren't like friends, but we experienced like a lot of the same things, and we were kind of going down memory lane because we went to this high school that was like an advanced kind of high school college program. So we completed our associate's degree at FIU in Miami while we were in high school, and then we were just like, yeah, like that honestly was like way too much freedom for like teenagers, and like we were talking about our different stories, kind of navigating that like independence when we were like 15 years old. I'm not really sure if that program is still running the same way it was, but anyways, it was just really interesting to think about those versions of ourselves, like when we were 16, 17, little babies, and all the different ways in which the world has kind of thrown us all over the place. And yet sometimes you run into yourself or like a past version of yourself when you're least expecting it, and maybe there's something to learn there about like, I don't know. That's what I'm writing about. That's what I'm like trying to reflect on, because I'm not really sure what my takeaway is yet, but just wanted to tell you that story. I've marked up all the fabric. I don't know if you could really see the chalking situation that I was doing. I just copied the measurements right on the fabric because this is a checkered fabric, which I love because it just makes it easier for me to cut. If you're a beginner, this is my one tip, is just make sure that you always cut some off the selvage over here and you like rip it off so it's very even. And now that it's even and it's checkered and it's lined, I just have to follow the line. So cutting this is a lot more accurate than cutting other types of fabric where like your measurement can move and I'd want to pin things down or I want to put like, etc. I'm just going to be really careful to follow along the lines. I made sure to match up all of the lines perfectly. with a line that was already in the pattern, you know, with a checkered. And I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like I actually will have quite a little bit of fabric left. We'll kind of see what to maneuver out of it, but I definitely have enough for some sort of top, which is exciting. So I'm about to do the thing that I've been putting off forever, which is cut into this gorgeous, gorgeous fabric. Yep, we'll see how it goes. I cut out all the fabric, and with what I had left over, I am going to be able to cut out the Clara crop top that I'm making, which is exciting. I was worried because of the sleeves. I was like, there is no way that I have enough for the sleeves. I did have to do a little patchworking, so this is the fabric, like that I had, the big piece. And then I just had to add like the little remnants that I had together, sew it together and serge it. So that I could make like a longer piece of fabric so I could fit that like top of the sleeve, you know. But I did it, and I was able to pattern match it pretty well. So yeah, I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna just finish cutting out the top, and then I think I'm gonna stop there for today, because I'm feeling tired and it's my first day back at my sewing station. I feel like I forgot how to sew. I like just did this little piece where I like sewed it and serged it, and first of all I had to like have a conversation with my machine where I apologize very deeply because I was supposed to take her to get serviced while I was away, and I didn't. And I remember saying that in my last video, being like, oh, like definitely gonna get you serviced, like trying to let her know, and like I didn't. And like the cord is like hanging on by a thread. I had to like tape it together. I did give it like a little sweep and a vacuum, and I gave it a new needle, okay, because I'm not a monster. But she's not happy. So I do eventually have to get her serviced. In other news, I am asking for an industrial machine for my birthday. My birthday's in August. I'm very excited. I have a cousin here who does like sewing, and he runs a company where he makes like uniforms for these big companies. And he's like figuring out a good price for me for a nice machine. I'm so excited. I feel like this is like the thinnest cotton in the world. Like you can actually like fully see through it. And my machine is like, blah, blah, blah. Like it is, this is an easy bake oven. Okay. Like if you're looking for a good machine, like actually I can't talk badly about her because we're like in a rough place in our relationship. So I will not say anything further. I'm also watching RuPaul's All Stars 3, and I just like forgot how good the season was. I feel like every second I'm doing everything so slow because I'm like I feel like, anyways, do you watch Drag Race? I feel like I rewatch the seasons over again from time to time, and I haven't seen this one in forever, but it's so good. R.I.P. Gigi Devane, you will be missed. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna just finish cutting out the little top, and then I'll see you tomorrow. Hello friends, it is 8 in the morning and I have been here since around 6 a.m. It's been a lot of fun because I'm just kind of moving really slowly, and I just like love a little early morning sew-a-thon. I feel like I look a little crazy. Okay, like the story with my hair is that I got the world's worst haircut like 2 months ago, and then I was like, okay, like the only difference between a bad haircut and an okay haircut is a month. So I was like growing it out because I was like, okay, I'm going to Miami, and I know somebody in Miami who knows how to cut curly hair because I have curly hair. So this is like this is what happens to me. And so I grew it out, and then I went to Miami, and then I went to go get my hair cut, and the person who usually cuts my hair was like not there. They had like a family thing. And so I was like, okay, like I really need a haircut. Like, does anybody here know how to cut curly hair? And like this other hairdresser was like, I do. So then I got the world's second worst haircut. And now I'm back in my month of growing it out. Okay, so here's what I did today. I did kind of like the more like tedious, quote unquote tedious parts, but I feel like a few months ago, maybe like 6 months ago, heard this like sewist talking about how like you really have to enjoy the process of things, and you have to like make it kind of like a ritual, and you have to sort of like find the joy in the tedious parts of sewing, because like that's what makes it enjoyable all around. And I was like, oh my gosh, and that like really shifted my brain and my mindset. So now I'm like sewing and making the little straps, like all of this stuff like is a part of the process, and I enjoy it, especially like in the morning before I have to get into the hecticness of my job and capitalism and the world, etc. Anyways, I made these straps. These are going to be the drawstrings. One thing that I do with the drawstrings, and I did this in the last video, which I linked, is I put elastic in the middle. First of all, I don't have that much fabric left, so I didn't get to make super long drawstrings, but also putting a little elastic in the middle, so it's like I cut here in the middle and then I insert a piece of elastic, it makes it so much more comfortable, because the elastic is just like going to give it a little bit more of that tug that I want. It's not feeling as stiff. Sometimes with drawstrings, like they get all curled up and then it's not giving the same like tightness that you want. So I saw that in like Lydia Naomi's channel one time, and I just kind of always ran with it. So I'm going to do that in a little bit. I'll just kind of cut this in the middle and put elastic and then sew it back up. I've got 2 of those. I also put the elastic casing in the top. So I put the elastic casing, this is the front and this is the back. I love making casings when it's like checkered, like what are those, gingham, because it's just so easy to follow the line, and like when you don't have gingham, it's like turns into like a whole thing. But today was super easy, so I put those in. That means that the top is really like coming together. That is the hardest part of making, in my opinion, the Clara dress, because you know sometimes you don't have gingham fabric and like lining up the elastic, and usually the dress has 2 elastics on each part, but I only did 1, so that was super easy. Okay, got this one for my sister. It's just so silly, but also like kind of elegant, which is her style. She's definitely less silly, more elegant. So that's for my sister. For my mom, I got these gorgeous little glasses or mugs for coffee. I'm not gonna open all of them up because they still need to make it to Miami, but they're so beautiful. My mom loves to host, so I feel like those are perfect for her outdoor hosting. She can make little juices or little mixed drinks. And this one is for my cousin. It's a little heart, and she can put it up in her room. She's also very colorful, so I feel like she's really gonna like that. Yay for that! For my studio, this little vase from, actually I forgot the name of the store, but I'll put it on the screen. Isn't that the funniest thing you've ever seen? And then for my little niece, Jonesy's, one of these little play thingies. What are these things called? With all of these little felt animals that she can look at and ask questions about, and it's got a little bell. I love you, Jonesy's. For my uncle, this butterfly, and for my other uncle, this spoon holder. For my grandma and my mom, some little rosaries from La Virgen de Guadalupe, because they are very Catholic. For silly, for fun, we got some little tiles that say Casa de los Perros. We'll hang that up somewhere. It reminds me of my 2 little pups. For myself, some interesting jewelry and some pattern weights. These are kind of like tiles. They're very heavy, and it's exactly what you want as a pattern weight. My husband got a t-shirt at the Carlos Vives concert and a t-shirt at Lucha Libre, along with a funny mask for his office. Some Christmas ornaments for my tree, one for my little girl dog, one for my big guy, and then I got 2 more for my sister. Her name's Camila, and her partner, whose name starts with an A. Some random little bits and some fabric. Also found some super silly and wonderful art like this piece. So silly, so fun. Perfect. And this piece, that person is in drag, honey. It only has to make sense to me. And this piece, which I found so intriguing for some reason. I love it. Okay, my family is here, so I'm sneaking in a little sewing, and also Colombia plays today. Okay, also I'm wearing the skirt that I'm duplicating. So I went ahead and made the slit. Where did I put it? Here we go. So the slit's done. It looks kind of big, but again, it's going to be on the bottom tier. So like exactly like the skirt I'm wearing right now. So it looks crazy how similar, like how much I was able to sort of like replicate it. So that's done. I also went ahead and put the gathering stitches in. The skirt should come together in like the next 30 minutes. Like this is not a difficult sew at all. One thing that I realized, which I always do when I'm making the Clara dress, is you're supposed to like join the front and the back first, serge it, finish it first, and then put the binding. I always do this, and every single time I'm like, okay, I'm gonna remember it this time. But it's not that big a deal. What I always just do is kind of like unstitch a little bit here, and then unstitch a little bit on the other side, and then I join the pieces, and then I just like sew over the bias elastic channel again. I don't know, I do this every time, but it's not that big a deal. And yeah, I have a couple of family things to do today, but my weekly reset is going really well. I've been writing every day. I'm like 85% done with my book. If you have a Kindle, you know that means that I'm almost done, because it really only goes to like 93%. So I'm almost done with my book. I'm definitely going to get to finish that either tonight when I'm like kind of hanging out, or tomorrow morning. And I'm going to finish the skirt for sure today. I might just do the top tomorrow, but it's still Saturday and feeling good about it. It's been like a very kind of slow but very seamless ease back into sewing, which I appreciate. So all of that is happening today. I'll show you all these pieces as I finish them. And then once I'm done with the book, I definitely want to do a little reflection, because it was kind of crazy. I mean, it's good. I wasn't expecting it. It was an unexpected read for the year. So excited about that. All right, I'm gonna get into it because I don't have that much time. And then I have to go make like a lasagna. So okay, wait, I forgot to tell you the story. So I was in Mexico City, and like, you remember a couple of videos ago in like my Mexico City sewing marathon, I like pimped out a jersey. So I like fixed a jersey so it could be like more form-fitting, whatever. So I took that to Mexico, and we were able to get free tickets to the Mexico World Cup opener through like my friend's job or something like that, which was crazy. It was an insane experience, so much fun. And I was wearing my jersey because it was like the World Cup opener, so everybody was wearing like their jersey from like where they're from. So I was wearing the Colombia jersey, and it was just so much fun. Everybody was like, Colombia, Mexico. Our friends were like, are from Haiti, so it was like, they were like, it was just fun. And we went to the game, Mexico won, so you can imagine it was a party, okay? And then we have to like walk out of the stadium, whatever. So we're like kind of just walking and walking and walking. We like stop at a bar, we're like having a great time, just kind of waiting for the like stadium traffic to kind of die down before, anyway. And we're there, and then this like lady comes in, she's just like, I want to trade my jersey with you, which is like, I guess like a very World Cup thing to do. And I just like took off my jersey and I like traded my jersey with her. And then I like kind of had to spend the whole rest of Mexico City without a Colombia jersey, but it was a lot of fun. And then like my friend, somebody gave her like a mariachi hat, like just Mexico was having a blast. And anyway, so that's why I had to get a new jersey. Hello, good morning. It is the next day. I have finished the skirt. Woo, it looks so cute. I'm obsessed. I always feel like my sister when I say that. She's always like, I'm obsessed. Anyway, it looks so cute. It's got these little details on the end. This is very similar to a regular drawstring situation. The only difference is like you don't connect the two pieces, so you do have to do like, ooh, I have a little string. You do have to do a little hemming on like the side of the like drawstring part so that like it looks finished when you put the drawstring. But it's really easy. You just kind of fold it over like you would a regular drawstring, and then you just kind of like do a little hem on the side, and then you don't close it. So when you attach the whole skirt, you leave that part unattached, and then you attach the rest. I don't know if I'm explaining it. This is like very simple stuff, but yeah, this was super cute. I'm really happy I made this decision with this fabric, because I think with a fabric like this, you really want to see it, right? And so like with the skirt, like it is the main character, you know, in an outfit, I think. So yeah, that's done. I am going to put together the shirt with a little crop top. Again, I have to just kind of unpick here and like just reattach this the way that the instructions actually say to reattach them. I was able to cobble together the sleeves. So I've got like nice big sleeves. This should come together pretty quickly. I do also have, maybe I'm being too ambitious because look at this pile of scraps. I didn't want to waste anything. Like, I feel so precious about this fabric. I don't know why. Maybe it's because obviously it's like from a nice store. But also because my mom picked it out. I don't know. But anyway, so I'm thinking maybe I can make a scrunchie out of this. Every time I think of scrunchies, I think of that scene in like Sex and the City where Carrie's dating Berger, and you remember, if you've watched Sex and the City, you know the scrunchie scene. I hated that guy. Anyway, but I don't know. Maybe we'll make this, maybe we won't. I think that could be cute, but anyways, looking good, feeling gorgeous. I will update you when this is done. I also didn't have time to finish my book, but I'm almost done. And that I think will kind of be the end of my little creative reset week. I'm really looking forward to like jumping headfirst into some bigger sewing projects this week. I'm going to be making the juniper dress. And then, so I'm going to make that like in the next few days. And then after that, it's going to be sort of like that 4th of July weekend where I have 2 days off from work. They gave us like 2 days off for that holiday. And then I have the weekend. It's a 4-day weekend anyway. I'm going to do a massive sewing marathon. So I'm going to start doing some prep for that today, and like maybe like writing down some notes of like how I want to handle that, how I want to approach it. Oh my God, the wind today. Like I had to hold this up with a chair. But yeah, I'll keep you updated. I finished the little set. It's so cute. Hold on, I'm going to show you a little more closely so you can see. Okay. Look how cute. It's got a little slit. Don't look at my socks. Isn't that the cutest little set? I love this pattern so much. Or like not pattern, but like outfit. I have made this particular Clara pattern in so many different variations. It is like my most used pattern. So I love making this little top because it's so easy. I've made it 1,000 times and it just always fits really well. Like you can put the sleeves up if you want, or if you're like on a Zoom call, you could be like, ooh, sleeves, and puff them up or whatever. Or you could like do them off the shoulders if it's a little warmer. I love it. The skirt also comes together super fast, and I think this was the perfect use for this fabric. I was worried about it, but I'm gonna get a ton of use out of this. I already know it. I love it. I love it so much. So I'm kind of closing out the week. This was really my big creative endeavor. I think the one other thing that I did this weekend is that I finished the book that I was telling you all about, the children. I would say that maybe it started a little bit more strong than it ended. I think the ending was strong too, though. So I think it was more that there was a little accordion in the middle of the book where, you know, it's just like a lot of stuff felt a little maybe repetitive. But that was only like the last, like maybe third of the book. But the last sort of chapter of the book is incredible and kind of ties everything back together. So I would say that I recommend it. I do think that I would maybe want to check it out as an audiobook. I think it would have been really good as an audiobook if I was like sewing and doing things like that. So I would definitely say check out the audiobook and like maybe it's good. I did like the book though. I would maybe give it like 4 out of 5 stars. I also then learned that the author of this book has predominantly written, or has maybe only ever written, children's books, which is maybe what I also really liked about the book. It opened in a sort of like fairy tale, but it was still grounded in this like modern world we're living in. So I liked that element of it as well. I like that sort of understanding of like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, like that this author would have a background in children's literature, because it gives that feel, but in an adult setting, which I enjoyed. So that's the end of my creative week. I'm feeling a lot more energized. I'm feeling kind of like back in tune with the things and the projects I want to embark on. I also did a little writing, as I mentioned, this week, and so maybe this coming week I want to spend some time editing that, so maybe I'll put that up at some point. I think it ended up being more of a reflection, or maybe a thought experiment on reflecting on who you were when you were in high school, which is, I think, sometimes tough for some of us, me. So anyways, that's all kind of what I worked on this week. Next week, I'm going to be embarking on a sewing marathon. I have a pile of fabrics this big. I'm going to be working to cut them out and sort of finalize the patterns I want to make in the next day. And then I'm going to start sort of like a 4-day sewing bender or a marathon or whatever. But I'm really excited because there are some really cute pieces that I want to bring into my wardrobe. So if that's something that you are interested in, subscribe, and thanks for watching. See you next time.